Hello friends, welcome once again to the Dragon Tamer series. Friends, in the last chapter we saw that Luo was lying on the ground. And Senku was crying seeing him because he was his fiancé. In a while, the energy of the fallen corpse starts coming out of his body. And his face starts changing. However, he had come to his real senses. And he was also crying. In a while, his hand slips and he dies. Seeing this, Sen starts crying badly. So let's start today's chapter. Seeing Senku crying, Lu Fan tries to calm her down. Captain Lu was still worried as the danger was not over yet, and he looks at Lu Fan and says, "Hey Lu Fan, we are all thankful to you and Jiao Ji, and we are all saved. But we should also keep this in mind. The incident with Li Luo is not a normal incident. And so I suggest that we should immediately go back to the camp." After hearing this, Lu Fan replies, "I know this, but it will take time for Senku to come out of this state. Because Senku is very sad for his fiancée." Meanwhile, a purple aura emanates from inside Lu Luo. Captain Lu is shocked to see this and says what is happening. He is still not dead. Lu Fan immediately takes action with his dragon sword and thinks to himself that the energy of the fallen corpse is still inside Li Luo and it is heading towards the blood moon. And I think this energy is key to understanding the corpse Dasho. We can't let it escape because Lu Fan understood that as it gets closer to the blood moon, it will take on an even more terrifying form. Lu Fan tries to block the energy with his dragon sword at the same time, and runs after it to catch it, and then cuts it in half. As the energy is cut in half, the essence of the fallen corpse inside it flows out in the form of a crystal. This is the essence of the fallen corpse. As Lu Fan takes the crystal in his hand, a strange color of gratitude appears around him. And he thinks to himself that this is the sacred essence obtained by Charles of Star Trips. Could it be the same as the essence of the fallen corpse? Lu Fan is still thinking to himself that if this is the case, then this essence of the fallen corpse can allow one to go into the hidden profession or even make us a servant of the ancient god. The captain looks at Lu Fan and asks, "Hey Lu Fan, is it safe for us to carry such a strange object?" Lu Fan doesn't answer the captain. He stood in place and wondered, according to this logic, would Charles also pledge loyalty to the ancient god? Because when Lu was a demon, he said, "Obey me and I will give you divine essence," which will have unimaginable power. And he also said to be a loyal servant of the gods and devote everything you have for their resurrection. Lu Fan understood this and he looked at Captain Lu and said, "Hey Captain, we can handle it right now, but we have to hand it over to Senior to you soon." Hearing Lu Fan's words, the captain replies, "I understand." And then he looks back. Senku is digging a hole in the snow. Seeing her, the captain understands and tells Lu Fan that we have to wait a little more to go back. Lu Fan becomes sad seeing this. And he says, "Captain Lu, we should also help Senku," and then everyone moves forward to help Senku, and then everyone together digs a big hole in which they start burying Lu Luo. Senku says while putting snow on him, "I thought you would also remember me the same way I do. But now I am convinced that it was an unfortunate misunderstanding of mine." Lu Fan hears this and goes to Senku and says, "No feeling, it's true. We heard it ourselves that he likes you too." Sen's replies, "Thank you Fan," and then she smiles at the same time, stands up and puts on her glasses and says, "Strong sister Senku is back to her old self. And hey Captain Lu, I'm fine now, and what's our next step?" Everyone treated him with silence as usual and he never missed a mention of Li Luo. The captain was happy to hear this and said, "Everyone get ready to go back to Team 78's camp." Everyone replied, "Hey sir." And then they put their coordinates to the location and flew away on their eagles. Senku also placed the necklace given to him by Lu Luo at the place where he buried her and also placed her badge there. And that day he realized that he had said goodbye to his lover. The next afternoon, Lu Fan comes to Senior Tiyu's room and places the crystal in front of him. Senior Tiyu is surprised to see the crystal and says, "So is this the one? Now I understand." He starts thinking. Lu Fan says at the same time, "Senior Tiyu, I have a hypothesis based on everything that has happened. Should I tell you? Senior Tu replies, yes, tell me. Lu Fan explains that there are certain conditions to become a servant of the ancient god, that is, the deceased Griffin squad members and various fierce beasts can only become puppets of the corpse. While the fact that beasts cannot become servants of the ancient god, it is possible that this reflects a lack of intelligence. Servants of the ancient god cannot become creatures. The reason for this appears to be a loss of intelligence. But servants of the ancient god retain the ability to think, while Li Liao was being completely controlled by the essence of the corpse. Ultimately, becoming a servant of the ancient god through essence also involves the selection of the ancient god. Senior Tu looks at the crystal in his hand seriously and says, "This means you are saying that it is not enough to rely only on this object to become a corpse's slave. It needs the approval of the ancient god to obtain its power." Lu Fan replies, "I'm afraid that's the case. And it seems that only sentient beings are more likely to do so. Because Li Luo also said that corpses have the ability to leave this place." After listening to Lu Fan, Senior Tu says, "Your hypothesis is interesting and reminds me of the rumors of recent years." And then Senior Uncle explains that in recent years, there have been reports of strange cults in more than a dozen countries. And these cultists claim to have the blessings of the gods and aggressively expand churches and gather believers with great force and announce the awakening of the gods. If what Li Luo says is true, so these cultists are either servants of the ancient god or his followers. Lu Fan hears this and thinks to himself, over a dozen countries. Does this mean that over a dozen ancient gods are starting to awaken? And then Lu Fan also gets very serious and looks at Senior Tu and asks, "Hey Senior Tu, is this camp the only populated area in the far north region so far?" Senior Uncle replies, "Yes, sure." And then Lu Fan asks, "How many members of the Griffin squad are missing?" Like Li Lu is missing. Senior Uncle is surprised to hear this. And then he replies, "Wait, are you saying that they have become corpse slaves?" Lu Fan replies, "If some of them survived and left this place, then they might actually be corpse slaves. And we'd better announce a reward for finding them and minimize any danger." Senior Uncle becomes a little sad to hear this and says, "It's very sad for my brothers. They served the country and eventually became wanted." Lu Fan, seeing this, puts his hand on Senior Uncle's shoulder and says, "There is no other way at this time. The brothers of Griffin Squad will understand, right?" Senior Uncle replies, "I understand." And then he extends his hand towards the crystal and says, "What to do with this object now?" Lu Fan extends his hand and says, "We can also use this essence to test my hypothesis." Senior Uncle is surprised to hear Lu Fan's words. "What do you want to say? I don't understand anything you say." And then he says, "If we can't test it on people, then who will we test it on?" Lu Fan replies, "You are right, and you don't have to think about it. Because I will try to use it on my dragon." Friends, this chapter ends here. And what will happen next, we will see in the next chapter. Friends, this time can you fulfill my dream of getting 1,000 likes on this video?